Okay, so a couple of weeks ago, as you know, I went to Scale Model World, the IPMS National Championships, which takes place at Telford in the UK every November. This year I got to spend both days there. I normally only spend one day, and I have to say, having spent both days there, it's the way I'll try and do it in future. It was far more relaxed, and I was able to get around, see far more, and meet and catch up with far more of my friends from the modelling world over the course of 2 days, as opposed to the one day which I normally do, where it's all a bit of a rush to get stuff done. But anyway, one of the things that happened while I was at Telford is that I was approached by Andy from Antics. Antics being, for those of you who don't know, because either you live abroad or you're just unaware, Antics is a chain of model shops in the UK. I don't know, I think they've probably got 10 or 15 shops throughout the UK now. I was approached by Andy, one of the a manager of one of the shops, and the guy who's always going about to the model shows and selling us our cheap models. They're generally they're some of the best value you'll find at model shows in terms of what they do. But anyway, Andy approached me in regard to this model here, which is, as you can see, it's the new Revell Heinkel 219 Owl in 1/32 scale. Now this is a model that I did intend to purchase at some point. I wanted one. The Heinkel 219 is one of my favourite twin-engined aircraft from World War II. It was a stunning looking aeroplane, and very, very capable, and very deadly in its night fighting role. But as I say, Andy approached me with one of these, asking me if I would like to, or I'd be prepared to build one for display in one of his shops. Now, this was pretty much ideal for me. It allows me to kill two birds with one stone, in that I get the joy of building, painting, photographing, whatever, a new tooled Heinkel 219, and I don't have to find storage for it afterwards. It's a big aeroplane. It's a big aeroplane in 32nd scale. It's you know, roughly the same size as like a B-25 Mitchell or a you know, something like that. The Black Widow, a bit bigger than a Mosquito. So actually storing this after building it would, you know, potentially present some problems for me. So this was the ideal situation. Andy gave me the model, asked me to build it, so it was win-win-win for me, because I don't have to pay for the model. I get given the model, I get to build it, paint it, and do what I like with it, and then afterwards I can pass it on to somebody else for display and don't have to worry about storing it. So it was pretty much ideal. Now, in terms of what the model actually consists of, we'll just run over some of the stuff that comes in the kit. As you can see there, there's a decal sheet, as is usual with German Revell models from Revell and the like. There are no swastikas on the decal sheet, as it would be illegal in Germany to sell the model with them, so they've been left off. So the model is left on his own to find, you know, swastikas for this. One of the nice things about it is, I know you probably can't see in the middle here, but each of the instrument on the instrument panel is represented by a separate decal, so that should look very, very nice when painted up. Now, when I say it's a sizable model, I do mean it's a sizable model. There's the two wing halves, which you can see is a good, you know, each wing half is a good sort of 8 or 9 inches in the span. So you know, that's a kind of total span we're looking at if you imagine the fuselage in between there. So it's a big old model. In terms of the quality of the tooling, it's very nice. It's not what I'd call cutting edge these days. It's nicely produced. The detail's nice. It's as deep as I like detail to be, and it will take a wash and some work. It'll take multiple coats of paint and still take a wash afterwards. A little bit of flash around some points, but I have to say, from my point of view, that's really a nothing complaint. It's not really a complaint. Flash happens on models. We can clear it up and move on. Some of the actual detail on the model is really very nice. The seats come with seat belts and stuff moulded in. I'm going to be building this strictly as from the box. What you see is what you'll get, with the exception, hopefully, of painting a few of the markings on. I'll choose to mask and spray the markings rather than use decals for them. But outside of that, it will be built pretty much from the box. Okay. Like I say, generally speaking, I like the surface texture. I wish the plastic was a bit darker grey. But not overall, not overly worried about that. One of the things that I have noticed, which does appear to be on all of these kits, is that on the starboard wing, just along here is a small kind of moulding flaw, moulding scar, that kind of thing. It's really crosses a couple of panel lines. It's going to be the work of a couple of minutes to deal with that flaw. In fact, given the general nature of camouflages on the Heinkel 219, it will probably be invisible if you did nothing with it. If you ignored it and built the model, that probably wouldn't show up on the finished model. All these aircraft were mottled over the top side, so that actually does camouflage a lot of problems. However, I will deal with that, and I'll show you how I deal with that when I get there. But I don't anticipate it taking any real effort to get rid of that moulding flaw. Other than that, I'm really quite suitably impressed. I know there's been some talk over the shape of the propellers and certainly the inboard ends of the props. As I've said, I've got the excuse that I'm building this strictly from the box for Andy at Antics, so I'm going to ignore things like that and just get on with just get on and build the model. So yeah, as you can see, there are duplicated sprues for things like engines and undercarriage parts and things like that. Here are these are the fuselage halves here. So, like I say, hopefully that gives you some indication of the fact that it is, it's a substantial model in 32nd scale. It's, a large twin-engined night fighter from World War II. So it's really quite a substantial piece of plastic. I am very thoroughly aware of how lucky I am to be able to have come by one of these, shall we say, without having to pay for it. Other things, you've got a decent set of spars sort of here and here for the wings. The entire top surface of the fuselage is a separate plate for the direction finding antenna. The Schrager Music cannon setup is catered for with these holes here as well. So generally speaking, I have to say that I'm suitably impressed with the model overall, and I think it should be quite an entertaining build, and hopefully not too involved. Speaking personally, I find that 32nd scale kits quite often I find them quite intimidating. So I'm really aware that I've got the best of both worlds here, and I've got a large model to build. I haven't had to pay for it. Some of the stress is off from that perspective. Although some of the stress is on, then Andy will be expecting a finished model in due course. So swings and roundabouts. As you can see, there's also a separate belly panel here for the where the cannons were installed on the real aircraft. The cannon bay on this, or the cannon bay panel, I should say, if I can find it. There's one here that's got all 4 cannon barrels, which are the actual ports for the cannons are really, really nicely done. I'm really impressed with that, actually, looking at it. But I also believe there is, if you give me just a second to look around, I thought there was another. I did think there was another alternative cannon bay panel, which only had 2. Which only had 2 of the cannon ports hollowed out, but I'll check that when I get to that part of the build. All of the aerials, for which the Liechtenstein radar, for which Luftwaffe World War II aircraft were renowned, are included on a separate sprue. Really quite very nicely produced, and I don't really see any problems. They're actually pretty much in scale for a 32nd scale model. So anyway, that's the that's the Revell Heinkel 219. Excuse me, just dropping out of view while whilst I look at this, whilst I put all this back in the box. I'm just going to have a check of the instructions, because as I say, I was sure that there was a second cannon bay panel which only had 2 of the cannons exposed. Looking. Yeah, in actual fact, it looks like they've provided blanking ports for the cannon panels, which you don't need to use if you're doing one of the aircraft with only 2 cannons in the belly. There's blanking ports provided. So anyway, there's that model. Like I say, very lucky that I was given this to build. So. What I hope will happen is that in the next week or so I'm getting a new computer with I've got some new video editing software, so hopefully the quality of my videos is going to take a little bit of a step up in the very near future. So that's where that's where we're planning to go over the next couple of weeks. So hopefully the next videos you'll see actually of me modelling as such will be of the Heinkel 219. So stay tuned, and I'll see you soon.